So I attended a couple of screenings at the London Film Festival this past week, which was a really cool experience. I saw Maestro, which was rather good, but I'm here to discuss the movie I was most keen to see, Hayao Miyazaki's swan song for all of 20 seconds, The Boy and the Heron. I'm a big Studio Ghibli fan, with Spirited Away being one of my all-time favorites. So naturally, the thought of a new movie from not just them but Miyazaki himself was very exciting, especially with the air of secrecy surrounding the marketing. So regardless of however I were to feel about it, I can't think of a better movie for my first ever festival viewing. And I honestly got goosebumps as soon as the opening logo came up. Now, because there is so little footage of this online, I will be using clips from other Ghibli projects including Ni no Kuni at certain points in this review. So with that quick little disclaimer out of the way, what did I think of Boy and the Heron? Let's start with the obvious thing, it looks amazing. The vibrancy of a Ghibli background makes their world some of the most immersive in animation, and the fluidity and creativity on display in certain sequences is an absolute wonder to behold. And while I wouldn't say this is Joe Hisashi's finest score, the music is still very lovely. But the presentation was always going to be top notch, so how about the story? You can certainly see shades of many of the studio's past work throughout the whole thing, and I was rather invested in the first third, everything prior to the movie going full fantasy. I mean, there are still moments of pretty out there imagination, yet there is a steady build up throughout this stretch which I found to be very compelling and intriguing. Once it does get to the fantasy world though, it becomes a bit episodic and less investing. Upon reflection later on, I came to the realization that the characters weren't all that compelling. Mahito is a fine protagonist, certainly empathetic, but he feels oddly passive when navigating this strange new world, which is certainly nowhere near as interesting as the explicit fear and determination someone like Chihiro in Spirited Away showcased. There's still plenty to enjoy in the second half, those parakeets were certainly scene stealers at my screening, and of course the craziness is a lot of fun, but it is a bit of a narrative mess by the end, almost feeling like it's wrapping up 3 separate films and even then not really wrapping them up. If Miyazaki really thought this was to be his final film, then I can see why there is what could be interpreted as an everything in the kitchen sink approach, and considering he said he made this for his kids, a certain aspect near the end makes a lot of sense. But I was too confused by the sheer volume of plot points to feel much in its closing moments. Now, some of the Ghiblis can sort of feel like they're making up the stories as they go along, but here my confusion as to the grander purpose and meaning of it all felt much more prominent than usual. Again, going back to Spirited Away, that's a movie which doesn't always make logical sense, but always makes emotional sense. Boy and the Heron doesn't really make sense either way, at least for me. This may be a bizarre reference point, but this almost feels like Miyazaki's Tenet, in that maybe it is attempting a don't try to understand it, feel it experience, yet there's too much going on that I can't simply feel it. Look, I do like this movie, that first act is very compelling and it remains entertaining throughout, but the more I've let it sit with me, the more disappointing I've found it. I am certainly curious as to what some of the reactions are going to be like once more people get to see it. I'm certainly a little puzzled by some of the ecstatic reviews it's gotten so far, but I can't deny it is rather memorable all the same and would absolutely recommend it based on the stunning animation alone. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye!